Today's episode of Market Zero is brought to you by theGrandSlamDunk.com, featuring sporting news, pop culture critiques, and enough nonsense to fill a stadium. Make sure to find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or just visit the website. Market. Welcome back and welcome home to the Market Zero podcast. We appreciate you tuning in wherever you are. Today we've got a special gambling-centered podcast for you. We're going to go over each game this week in the NFL, give you some over-unders again, some final locks, give you some parlay options as well. So stay tuned, get your bankroll ready, and let's market.
G-Money, non-sports guy Doug, Uncle Ben here. It's the Market Zero podcast. The NFL kicks off tomorrow. I can't wait. Been looking forward to this game ever since the schedule came out. The Carolina Panthers, the Super Bowl runner-up, face the Denver Broncos in the Mile High City. Thursday night football kicking off another wonderful weekend. The NFL is back. College football's been back for a week. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I got my best friends here. We're talking. It's the Market NFL show, baby. I'm so excited. How you doing, fellas?
Oh, yeah. Market NFL. Yes.
Footballs.
It's happening, dude. It's really happening.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it. Are you guys pumped up out in the Mile High City?
We are pumped, man. I just made a little deposit into my gambling account, got the bankroll rolling, looking at some bets. I mean, this shit is real. It is popping off.
You guys are excited. I think I don't care about football still.
No. Why don't you care about football, Doug?
I still find it relatively boring, but I think I'll try to bet on it with you guys. I'm here because I like you guys.
Oh, isn't that sweet? Isn't that special?
Aw, shucks. Gee, golly, thanks, mister.
And I want to see if I can look at the numbers with you guys and maybe make some good bets. But otherwise, I think watching it is kind of boring. I'm going to try. I'll try.
So non-sports guy Doug actually took me to the preseason Bronco game. So we had some live experience trying to get him a little more acclimated to the game. And yeah, we left. We left in the third quarter. How long did we stay? Third quarter? Third quarter. Maybe halfway. Start halfway of the third quarter. Yeah, we got beered up and it was a little boring. And we didn't stay for the whole thing. It was preseason though, you know.
Yeah, but that's preseason football. There's a big difference between preseason football, where nothing matters, and literally nothing matters in preseason, versus the regular season kicking off tomorrow at Sports Authority Field at Mile High. Is it still called Sports Authority Field?
It is not. Well, it is on the sign.
I'm pretty sure Sports Authority is no longer a corporate entity, right? It's not around.
No.
And they got through the bankruptcy court. Mile High got back the naming rights, so they technically have the naming rights. However, on the stadium, they have not taken down the sign. It still says Sports Authority.
This is weird advertising for a
bankrupt,
a dead,
company.
Defunct company. It's strange. Take the sign down. Take the sign down, Broncos.
I wonder what they're gonna call the field tomorrow. Is there a prop bet that we could find on Bovado or one of these crazy internet sites as to what they'll call the field on the Thursday broadcast?
Man, I don't know. I doubt we'd find something. That'd be great. Maybe there is some kooky thing. What are they going to call it?
I was a big fan of the suggestion of Open Vape Mile High Stadium. A lot of weed.
Sell it to a weed company. Fuck yeah.
They were all trying to get in on that, and they said, we're not putting a weed company on our stadium.
Whatever, man.
No, that goes against the NFL. Does not believe in marijuana. They don't think it's okay. Even if you happen to show up and are pictured standing in a dispensary, they're gonna yell at you and slap your hand for it. They are not fans of the marijuana.
Come on, this is Mile High Stadium. Come on, let's put the high back in Mile High.
Yeah, it's not the elevation.
No, getting toked. Anyways, I'm fucking excited.
Yeah, we're getting off track, baby. Let's get to the numbers, man. Game 1, Carolina at Denver. What do you guys got?
Shit, we actually were just looking at some projections. We're pretty big believers here at the Market Zero in some 538 projections. I know we like Nate Silver's numbers quite a bit. And looking at him, it was pretty shocking. They just released their ELO predictions, and Denver actually has the highest probability to get to the Super Bowl.
Do defenses still win championships?
I mean, they did last year. I don't know. A little surprising, but these are pretty raw numbers. It's not like it's a guy with bias sitting there who's a homer pick. This is what their numbers told them, and I don't know. Maybe Denver doesn't drop off this year. Is that possible?
I mean, I'm of the belief that it's more what Simmons like to say. The secret of basketball is it's not about basketball. It's more than just one component, right? So I would feel like even if you lose a janky old quarterback whose body was falling apart and couldn't handle passing as much anymore, he was still an integral part of the game because he was who he was, and he was Peyton Manning, and he knew how to do what he did on the field, right? I have to assume, knowing nothing, that meant something, even with his old janky-ass body.
I mean, you'd assume so, but when you look at the numbers for last year, he was awful. Not just like in the season or compared to other quarterbacks, but like all time awful. So, I mean, just because his name's Peyton Manning doesn't mean he played that well last year. And if they get...
and he didn't.
No,
he
right.
didn't, but but Cedric Dickory stepped in, and that's the thing that I don't think Bronco fans really, and I guess national people either, too, they don't necessarily think about Brock Osweiler as much. To everybody, they just have the image of the sheriff riding off in the sunset in the Super Bowl. Brock Osweiler carried that team for a couple weeks.
He beat two of their toughest opponents, yeah. He beat two of their toughest things. He got the Patriots, man.
Right.
So that was crazy.
I got my lines from sportsbook.ag, and I went through, and I did the Bill Simmons. I went and I tried to guess the line before I looked at it. I had Carolina favored in this game by 3, and the line I got from sportsbook.ag was Carolina is -3.5 with an over/under of 41.5. What do you guys think about that?
I kind of like Denver at even money. I like a home underdog. I like a good defense. I like the payout number, at even money for the spread. I think Carolina's got a great team, but I think from a gambling perspective, I like the line on Denver. I like the points.
From a gut perspective, I feel like the reigning champion team rematching against who they killed, you're going to fall apart, especially, I don't know. It just does, narrative-wise, but hey, this is why I don't know the football, so... Actually, I feel like that pick, what I say doesn't matter in that instance, but I feel like Denver would fall apart narrative-wise.
And, I mean, I think a lot of people are expecting that, too. I think a lot of the money is on Carolina. I think they're kind of the favorite pick. But like I said, first game of the season at home, I think the home field advantage. That's why I'm looking through a lot of these lines, and I'm looking for home dogs. I'm nervous about road teams, even though the talent seems different. It's just really hard to predict, and that home field advantage in the NFL with such, an emotional kind of opening weekend, I think that factors into it a lot. So I'm
well, let me ask you.
Towards Denver.
So I went through and I looked at the picks of the teams that I knew, and that was just one that I would stay away from. Are you just making a pick?
So that's I would lean, but no, I don't like this game. I think that line is close. I think a field goal between these teams, you don't really know, especially with the emotion involved. I look back to actually the Broncos had a similar scenario when they kind of had a heartbreaking loss to the Ravens in the playoffs, and then they got scheduled to play them the next year, and they came in and took it to them. I think there was some kind of revenge factor involved, and I think while Cam's been on record as saying, he's not thinking about last year, I think there's definitely some wants to get back at him and wants to get some revenge and get the bad taste out of their mouth. So that's definitely a legitimate storyline.
Well, and Carolina is coming into this game sounding like a bunch of whiny babies. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the quote from Ron Rivera. He got crushed on Pardon the Interruption yesterday by Michael Wilbon because he's bitching and moaning about how they have to play a Thursday game to open the season. And it's like, give me a fucking break. You guys have had all summer to prep for this game, and now you're going to start complaining about the Thursday. So when I initially looked at this, I liked Carolina at -3.5, and I like the over, but I'm staying away from this game. I don't necessarily want to bet this game because again, week 1 is tough. You don't necessarily know. You don't know. Preseason doesn't give you a proper barometer to know exactly who is good and who isn't. So I'm staying away from this game. But if I had to bet, I would take Carolina at -3.5. But again, I'm not feeling great about it.
Yeah, when I guessed the lines, I put Carolina as 4-point favorites, so right in there too, 3.5, 4 points. And yeah, the more I've seen the interviews and stuff leading into it, and kind of the bitchiness, I think that Denver defense is still tenacious, and I think it's going to be hard to cover points on the road.
How much did Denver even lose of the defense in the offseason?
Maybe 2 players, Danny Trevathan. No, that was a couple years ago. Malik Jackson was the big name that signed. and a linebacker.
Duration's gone. Yeah. Malik Jackson's gone.
So not
They lost some
consequentially
pieces.
necessarily.
Not a ton of pieces gone. No, the defense still should be. I mean, they performed so out of their minds last year, though. And another thing on 538 was how short defensive dynasties actually last. So you can't count on them to go. But looking at them top to bottom and the talent there, they should be solid. And that good a defense at home. First game of the season, jacked up, ready to play. I think it's going to be hard to cover 4 points on the road for Carolina.
Well, maybe
G-Money, let me ask you this, man, because the rumor came out this week about the Broncos potentially shopping Aqib Talib. How do you feel about that? Like, what does that say? You know, the governor denied it adamantly, but it was a leaked report. You know, and what's funny is it came right after Mark Sanchez was cut. I found that very interesting.
Interesting.
all I gotta say about that is you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot.
Or the leg.
Or the leg, you know. Just careful with those. Oh.
Hey, man, I think Aqib is an incredibly talented cornerback, and I think one of the secrets to why this defense is so good is because they have three legitimate number one cornerbacks in Aqib Talib, Bradley Roby, and in Chris Harris Jr. But, man, Aqib
Roby's the real deal, dude.
Roby's the real deal, yeah. Aqib is a knucklehead, man. He's just a dumbass. I was actually watching some clips from the Super Bowl and had like a devastating personal foul on a third down that gave new drives alive. He's just constantly a liability, and he's a bit of a risky player.
He poked somebody in the eye last year.
Yeah, man. He's dirty dude, eye poker, fucking rumored gang relations, shoots himself in the leg in the offseason. If you can get a good player for him, ship him out, man. Ship him out.
His dick will be on Snapchat soon enough. No, I think...
Mark it. Skin time.
But here's what I'll say to settle this Panthers-Broncos matchup. The money line has now been posted, and if you really feel good about the Broncos, it's plus 150 on the money line. It's probably a better way to go to the spread if you think the Broncos are going to take that win.
Yeah, like the money line, definitely. But I mean, we'll see. Cool. That should be a good kickoff. You want to keep moving through? What do you got your eye on those early games?
Absolutely, man. The next game on the docket, Green Bay. The Green Bay Packers at the Jacksonville Jaguars. When I went through and looked at it, I thought Green Bay should be favored by a touchdown. Sportsbook has them at -5 with an over/under at 49 points. I like Green Bay -5 and the under here.
Yeah, when I went through, I actually had Green Bay favored by 10. I had them more than a touchdown. I think Jacksonville's getting some love, definitely with the home. I'm looking at Bovada right now, and their line is at 6, at -6 for Green Bay. Over/under set at 48. That's I think the public's definitely going to be on the Green Bay Packers. I don't think anybody has a lot of faith in Jacksonville. I mean, I think they think they're an up-and-coming team, but you get Green Bay as one of the most heavily supported teams in the NFL, maybe outside the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they're going to get a lot of money going on this. It's pretty much a full touchdown to cover, but you'd think that the Packers are going to be better than that. I like them on the road to cover 6 points too.
I agree, man. I mean, to me, this matchup comes down to quarterbacks, and while Blake Bortles has certainly shown that he is a competent NFL quarterback and people are feeling that he's going to have a breakthrough year in the fantasy realm, again, it's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers' efficiency stats that he has, especially in the last couple of years, is unbelievable. And he also gets his top target back in Jordy Nelson. So I expect the Pack to start hot and to roll. I like Green Bay with the win, but I like the under there, just because I don't think Jacksonville's going to score a lot of points.
I think Jacksonville's defense is markedly improved too, and if you can see that Denver signing and Malik Jackson kind of produce and maybe get some pressure, I think this game is probably going to be a little bit low scoring. Unless, I don't know, I worry that Aaron and Jordy just click and they score 3 touchdowns between them and just run away with it. I could see that happening for the over.
I certainly hope Jordy Nelson scores some touchdowns because I have him in one of my fantasy leagues, and it would be very helpful if he gets me some early points. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hoping for that.
Absolutely. So I definitely lean towards Green Bay. I think if you're looking for points, the Jaguars are good spread picks just because that's some of the highest spread this week at +6 if you're looking for a payout. But they're both -110 for that spread. So I'd lean Green Bay. We can definitely wait also for the money lines. Keep an eye on that. Green Bay's probably not going to pay well, so you might be able to make some more money on Jacksonville too, if you're looking for just payouts, which can be a strategy.
Right. No, I like Green Bay in a parlay bet. I think that's a safe leg in a parlay bet. But straight up, no, probably not. Again, betting week one makes me nervous, man. It makes me nervous.
I agree.
There's so many unknowns. Because you have a game like Buffalo at Baltimore. Like, this game is just impossible for me to pick.
Yeah, who the fuck knows?
I had Baltimore by 2. What'd you have?
When I first wrote the lines, I had Baltimore by 7. I don't have a lot of confidence in Buffalo, and again, I saw some home teams opening weekend. I liked Baltimore by a lot more than what the spread pickers did.
That's one of 538's tighter matchups, though, by percentage.
What's that percentage at, Doug?
53% Baltimore.
Wow, okay, so real close. What was Carolina-Denver at?
40% Carolina.
Okay, so 538.
So they favor Denver, yeah.
For some reason, that model loves the Broncos. For some reason. So yeah, this game, Buffalo-Baltimore, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I'd stay away.
Yeah, I don't either. I was pretty close to the line. I looked, and I got my lines from sportsbook.ag, and they have a Baltimore -3. If I had to bet, I'd take Baltimore with the points at Baltimore -3. They have the over/under at 44.5. I'd take the under there just because those are two historically defensive teams with defensive coaches. So that's where I'd go there. But again, staying away from that one. I don't really like that one either.
Yeah, it doesn't seem... I mean, I would definitely bet Baltimore just because when I picked it, I thought there was quite a bit of discrepancy between the posted. Like I said, I gave them 7 points. So I would lean towards Baltimore on that one, but ugly game. Don't like it.
Grant, are you doing over-under considerations this season?
A little bit, but only if they really jump out at me. Only if it's really apparent, like maybe a really cold weather game or some kind of injury or something. Generally, I don't like over-unders.
I think we've had a lot of experience with over-unders just being a shit show. It's a crapshoot.
A little bit, yeah.
For the most part.
We haven't really gotten a good feel for it. Maybe that'll change this year, but
Well,
yeah.
they did us well in the Super Bowl. They also did us well in the round. I think it was the second round of the playoffs last year, where Seattle went up to Minnesota and they played in the negative 40-degree game, and we took the under on that and cleaned up pretty good on that. So, like you're saying, dude, it comes down to other factors with the over/under.
Yeah, and I like to really concentrate more on just the straight matchup and trying to find those points. I find myself when I really go into the over-unders, I kind of lose sight of some more simple things, just matchup-based, when I try to overthink it. So I generally, unless they jump out at me, I won't bury myself too much into over-unders. Hey, what we got next?
So the next one, and this is my lock of the week. I'm gonna go ahead and lock this down right now.
All right.
This is my best bet of the week. Chicago at Houston. When I went through Houston, I had Houston by 3. Sportsbook AG has them at -6. I like Houston, and I like Houston with the points right there. I like that. I like Houston to win. I think that's a lock. Chicago's just an absolute mess. An absolute mess. I don't trust them. I think Cedric Dickery comes out strong with his first home game. I think he lights it up to DeAndre Hopkins. I like Houston there. That's my lock of the week.
I'm all with you, man. I think the Bears are, a shit show. We might talk a little bit later. I just locked in some over-under, season-long over-under bets, and Chicago was one of my bigger allocations. Right now, their season total's at 7.5, and I think that's crazy. I don't know how they're going to win 2 games. This is going to start it off on the road against a solid defense, against probably an improved quarterback in Robert Patterson, in the Twilight Vampire that is Brock Osweiler. I like Houston. I think they're going to cover pretty easily. I think they get an easy walk at home. I'm not going to go with my best bet, but I'm cool with you doing that. It's still kind of a decent chunk of points. 6.5 full touchdown points still makes me nervous, but the home team, like I said, it ticks off some boxes that I like. So, I'll get behind you on that. I'll probably include the Texans in some parlays for sure.
I just can't name anybody on Chicago's defense anymore. I mean, I don't know who's playing. I don't know what their plan is really, and 3 or 6 less interceptions. So in essence, he wasn't as shitty of a quarterback, but he was still a shitty quarterback. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing in Chicago. I feel like, you know, they're riding high with the Chicago Cubs, and nobody really gives a shit about football out there right now. So
it kind of seems that way, and they got the hockey team too. And I mean, it's just
right.
Jay Cutler he just makes you feel the worst. You know, I don't want to watch football when that dude is playing. It's just awful.
I thought there was going to be a no betting on Brock Osweiler rule. Osweiler, what the fuck is this guy's name?
Brock? I don't know. We mentioned that, didn't we?
I felt like there was something where we were going to try to stay away from that guy, but whatever.
I don't know. I mean, I think you want to stay away from Jay Cutler more than you want to stay away from Brock Osweiler, and I think that's the Trump rule.
I agree with that.
That's the Trump
rule. And I feel
rule.
like Osweiler is going to start hot, man. I feel like he's going to have one of those quick starts where he starts fast and everybody is all into him and this, that, and the other, and then
he has a 4
figure him out
interception
later
game.
On down the road.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I don't feel like he's going to do that against Chicago. I just like the matchup. I think the matchup fits that well. Here's a matchup that I don't like: the Cleveland Browns versus the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the first toilet bowl, I feel, of the season. You've got two absolutely dog shit teams. Cleveland looks like they're pointing themselves in the right direction with a new head coach. But again, you have Bob Griffin at quarterback, and we know what he is. You know, I don't necessarily know. And Philadelphia, who pulled off one of the greatest trades in NFL history, in getting a first round and a fourth round pick for Sam Bradford. But again, they're starting a rookie quarterback. So, you know, I had Philly favored by 3. Sportsbook.ag had them at -3.5. I don't know how to bet this game because I just don't know.
I think
I have no idea about this game.
This is a little squirrely. I think Cleveland is bad enough that I'd take Philly at home. I think again, I'd probably wait for a money line on this. The spread makes me a little nervous, but I think Cleveland is pretty legitimately bad. And like I do think they're pointing.
Even though Philly's starting a rookie quarterback, I see that makes me nervous, man.
Yeah, I was more nervous about Sam Bradford, to be perfectly fucking honest. You know, we know, it's the old thing. We know what Sam Bradford is. We know he can't move. Right. We know he's going to get hurt. Right. At least Wentz gives you a shot. Maybe you're going to get Ben Roethlisberger. Maybe you just drafted Russell Wilson. You know, at least there's a hope.
Right.
But no, ugly game. Don't like it. I'd probably take Philly, but nah, gross.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about who I would take. I'm just not going to bet that game. Stay away from that game. If you're listening to the Market Zero podcast and you're a gambler like we are, stay the fuck away from Cleveland and Philadelphia. There is only heartbreak that can happen there. Our next game, Tampa Bay at Atlanta. I thought Atlanta would be favored by at least 6. I actually have them favored by 3. I like Tampa here to pull the upset in Atlanta. I like them to win and cover. And the over-under was at 48. I'm going over with there, too. I feel like there's a lot of firepower and a lot of offensive weapons on there, and there's going to be a ton of points here.
Yeah, I do think they're going to score some points. I think I guessed this line at Atlanta at 3.5, basically just a home field advantage favorite. And I like Tampa Bay, too. I've got no faith in Atlanta. Matt Ryan went from a decent quarterback to an old quarterback in the blink of an eye. I don't think there's any way they get the production from that running back, from Devontae Freeman, like they got last year. And kind of the same thing. I don't know, like with Chicago, I don't know who's playing on defense for Atlanta. Do they have playmakers? I mean, D'Angelo Hall in the backfield, is he still playing? I just don't know.
No, he's with Washington, man. He's been with Washington for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't have pieces, man. Their team is Julio Jones.
Yes.
And you know they caught lightning in a bottle with Devonta Freeman, but as non-sports guy Doug would speak to, his production fell off at the end of last year. Again, one of those guys who started white hot, and then teams figured out what he was, and they shut him down.
Yeah, and I think that's it's going to be easy for people to take care of Atlanta. I see two teams on opposite trajectories. I see Tampa Bay rising quickly, and I see Atlanta falling off. So yeah, I actually like this pick quite a bit. I like Tampa Bay on the road to cover with those points.
Yeah, no, I like that one too. I've gone all in with Jameis Winston, but I got him on one of my fantasy teams. How about this? I'm naming my fantasy team Five Finger Crab Legs. Anyone? I think that's where I'm going to go. For for those of you who followed college football and have followed Jameis Winston, he had a little issue with his 5-finger discount of crab legs down at Florida State. So, but he's trimmed down. He's got big wide receivers to throw to. I just feel like Tampa Bay is gonna score a lot of points this year. I don't know about their defense, but I feel like they're gonna score a lot of points.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
We'll take Tampa on that one. What's next?
Now, this next game, G-Money, near and dear to your heart, the Minnesota Vikings, the Sam Bradford or Sean Hill. Let's be honest. The Adrian Peterson-led Minnesota Vikings
are going
to walk into Nashville on Sunday and play Marcus Mariota, former Oregon Duck, with Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray in the backfield. I had Minnesota favored by 3. Now, I did this before they got Bradford. The line I saw on Sportsbook had them at Minnesota at -1.5. Your thoughts, G-Money?
You know, I feel like Minnesota, it was pretty interesting. Like I said, I locked in some season-long over-under bets, and Minnesota went from 9.5 wins to Teddy Bridgewater's leg exploding. They dropped down to 8. They got Sam Bradford, and they're right back where they were. They're still at 9.5 wins for the over-under. So a lot of the sports books have kind of, bounced them down and then kind of brought them back up. And I sort of feel like that might be where we're at. I mean, I think we've said it several times that nobody was sold on Teddy Bridgewater being an amazing quarterback. But I do think that they're solid all around. They still have Adrian Peterson. They've got some young receivers. They've got solid defense. I mean, the young kids, Anthony Barr, they've got players on defense. I think this is still a solid team. I think I like Minnesota. Like, I want Tennessee to really come into their own, and I think they've got that home field bump. But I think just top to bottom, Minnesota's got too much talent for them. And I see a 2-point spread on Bovada. I like that too. I like Minnesota on the road to cover.
I agree.
Which is a shame because I want Marcus to come out firing. I want Mariota to really take this. I want Tennessee to do well. I think they will. I think they're going to be over. That was another one of my season-long over-under bets that I actually locked in. Over 5.5. It was kind of a mid-level allocation, I think, but I think Tennessee's going to be all right. I think Minnesota's a top-tier team in the league still, even with Sammy Cement throwing the ball.
Right. Let me ask you, dude. What's the knock on Marcus Mariota? Like, obviously, people think that Jameis Winston has the arm, has all the tools, has all the intangibles, but he's a knucklehead. They don't trust his decision making. Whereas Marcus Mariota comes across as the All-American man, where he's always going to make the right decision. So, what is the knock on him? What do the pundits say?
Nothing really. He might throw some interceptions, but there's not like a.
But is it arm strength with him? Like, what is?
No, he's got great arm strength. There's not a knock. That's the thing. There's still not really a knock.
Okay. Well, he's going to get tested right out the gate. That defense in Minnesota is the real deal.
Yes, absolutely, and that's what makes me nervous. That's why I don't want to bet on him right away. I need to see this new Tennessee team. Need to see the sophomore advancing. I mean, that's the knock, is decision making. Is can he make the smart decisions and play intelligently going forward.
Okay.
It sounds. I mean, you guys said Minnesota here, but at the same time, it seems like all the information you've given me, this is another game I'd stay away from. I'm waiting until the end when I'm going to ask you guys to give me your best 3 picks, and that's what I'm working off of. Okay.
I like it, Doug. I like where you're going, Doug. I like where you're going. Our next game, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cincinnati Bungles, whatever you want to call them.
Whoa, that's a great nickname.
You never heard the Bungles, Doug?
Oh, I thought you said Bungholes.
No.
They're also that too. The Cincinnati Buttholes, the Cincinnati Bungholes, whatever you want to call them. They face the New York Jets. I thought Cincy would be favored by 6. Sportsbook.ag had them favored, but only at -2.5 with their over/under at 41. G-Money, what do you think?
Man, I had this game picked a lot higher too. I had Cincinnati initially favored by a full touchdown. When I first looked, they were just at 2.5. I'm checking now.
This is also the tightest matchup by 538, with the Jets being 51% favored to win.
Which is
that sounds about right.
Yeah, I had Cincinnati pegged a lot higher, but yeah, kind of looking over the matchup, the Jets might not be terrible. They might not be terrible. I think that Fitzpatrick's still going to have some chemistry. I think Decker and Brandon Marshall are legit. I mean,
Right.
we'll see about the defense, but yeah, I mean, I wanted to pick Cincinnati right away, but when you start looking at this, the Jets aren't bad, and Cincinnati's still Cincinnati, and they're on the road,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I don't know.
feel like these two teams match up well. You got Andy Dalton and AJ Green. You got the two-headed monster in the backfield with Hill and Giovanni Bernard. So Cincy has a pretty high-quality offense as well as a stingy defense. The Jets, like you said, Ryan Fitzpatrick, at the end of the day, he's going to throw the soul-crushing interception. But before he does that, he's going to throw the ball a lot to Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall had over 100 catches last year. So, and the Jets have a really good defense and a really good coach. So this game's pretty even. I'd stay away from betting this. I have an AFC North bias, so if I had to pick it, I would go Cincy to win. And with the points, I like them at -2.5. I think they should win by at least a field goal. But, again, I think 538 saying that this is one of the tighter matchups. I think they have that dead on the money.
Yeah, I think you're right. I didn't have it picked at first, but looking at it again, yeah, Bovada's got them at a field goal. They've got the 3-point home field advantage for the Jets. Since he's favored by a field goal. The more I look at it, the more I think I like the Jets with the points at home. I like these home dogs in the first week. But again,
Yeah.
I'd stay away. I'd probably stay away.
Yeah, I'd stay away from that one, too. One that I wouldn't stay away from is the Oakland, soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders, heading down to Bourbon Street to play Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints.
Fun.
I thought Oakland would be favored by a touchdown. New Orleans is actually favored, according to sportsbook.ag, at -1 with an over-under at 51.5. I think this is another lock. I think Oakland is going to blow New Orleans out the water. I like this one a lot for the Raiders.
The Raiders. I had this one picked originally at the Saints, just the home field advantage, the Vegas zone, a -3 favorite. I think I like Drew Brees. I think the Saints play fucking great at home. I think even when they're a shitty team, they play good at home. And I don't know. I picked Oakland. I think they're going to come into their own, but I think they're going to get smacked early in this first game.
Who dat?
Who dat?
Who dat?
Who dat? And then I think that's going to wake them up, and that's going to send Oakland on their tear. So I like New Orleans in this game. Give me the home favorites.
Me too.
I just feel like I feel like it's just Drew Brees. I feel like it's Drew Brees. I think Mark Ingram is he has been an underachiever since he got into the league. He's never been that breakout guy, and their defense, Rob Ryan ruined that defense. At one point, that defense was, 5-6 years ago, that was one of the best defenses in the league. And they're a shell of what they are.
Yeah, but he's gone. They got rid of him. They fixed it.
Right. Say that again, dude.
He's gone. They got rid of Rob Ryan. He's gone. They fixed that.
Right, but they're still. I mean, can you name a starter on New Orleans on their defense?
Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Jarris Bird.
And Oakland
Oregon
has a
Duck
guy
Jarris Bird.
Who I'm afraid. Say what?
Never mind. I don't think he plays for them. Never mind. I thought I knew a Duck that was on their roster, but I don't think he plays for them anymore.
And all I can say is I got middling performances out of most of their wide receivers and running backs that I had on my fantasy teams last year. However, I jumped down that rabbit hole again. I got Brandon Cooks.
Look, I think fantasy-wise last year, Drew Brees had a fucked up shoulder, and that carried through the whole thing, so that affected everybody. I like Mark Ingram. I don't think he has underachieved quite as much as you do. I think he's dealt with a couple injury issues. I have him in a fantasy league, and I have big expectations for him, especially in regards to catching the ball. I think he's going to get a lot of check down receiving yards. I think Drew Brees is going to look for him. I think Ingram. I think you're underestimating Mark Ingram a little bit. I think they do have some weapons, and they don't have Rob Ryan fucking up the defense. So I think they'll be all right.
Who dat?
This will be a fun one. We're definitely going to have to text back and forth when this game is going on and find out who had this one right. Because I feel like this is the one that we have disagreed on the most, my friend.
Well, I think maybe that should be. We should find a game each week that we really disagree on and make a little personal wager, or maybe a personal live wager. What do you think? You have any thoughts?
Would you want to do that on the San Diego Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs?
No.
I mean, I'm taking the Chiefs without a doubt.
Oh yeah. Would you have the Chiefs at?
When I went through and picked, where was my prediction at? Kansas City I had them at 7.5-point favorites. I'm looking at it now. Bovada has them at 7-point favorites. Even money payout with that 7 cover.
Yeah, I hit that one right on the button. I thought KC should be favored by a touchdown plus an extra point. And Sportsbook.ag had them at -7. I like KC to win, and I like KC to cover. The over-under's 45. Again, over-unders are a little shaky, but I don't feel like San Diego has a ton of weapons, so I feel comfortable about taking the under there. Kansas City, man, a lot depends on what happens in Denver, but we could be looking at, come December, a Kansas City-Oakland Raider, race for the AFC Division Championship, my friend.
Yeah, that could easily happen. I think I like Kansas City. Again, this is one of the ones where an over-under might jump out at me a little bit. I think, historically that Alex Smith doesn't exactly light the scoreboard up.
Sure doesn't.
And if San Diego struggles like we think they will, I'd like the under on that, and I like Kansas City to cover. And even payout for a home favorite is actually pretty decent. So that's a good line. I would put a lot of money into this one. I think the Chiefs are pretty easy on it. This is going to be my best bet. I'm going to mark it. Let's mark this the best bet.
There you go.
G-Money's pick of the day. Pick of the day. Pick of the day. Pick of the day.
It's the Grand Slam Dunk pick of the week.
Woo, 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 woo.
Boom, boom. The next game that we got on the docket, and we're finishing up here, the Miami Dolphins at the Seattle Seahawks. This was by far and away, I'm taking Seattle here, and I thought Seattle should be favored by 10 points. They have the largest spread at -10.5. I like the Seahawks here. I think they cover. And the over-under is at 44. I think Russell Wilson has himself a day. I think Sweaty Rawls gets rolling and cranking, and that defense, after they take a knee for the national anthem, is going to come out firing on all cylinders and destroy the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I had this game originally picked at 12.5 points for Seattle, and like you said, 10.5. I hate taking big numbers. When you look at the sharps in Vegas, they're going to be looking at this, looking for a cover from Miami. But yeah, like you said, I think Russell's coming to play. I think that defense is going to crack heads, and I think they're going to cover easily. I see at least a 14 to 17 point cover on this one.
No, I agree with that. I don't want to bet this one because the spread is so high that makes me nervous. But I do think this may be one where we talk on Monday and we're like, damn, we really should have put money on this one because this. I don't see. I'm not a believer in Miami. I'm just not. I'm not a believer in City upon the Tannehill. I'm not a believer in Adamakin Sue. But I am a believer in the Seattle Seahawks. I think they're going to have a really good year this year.
Yeah.
Let me just say that don't let big spreads scare you, because how many big spreads did Golden State have and cover all of them? Throughout the I mean seriously.
That's legit though. If the team is good.
Yeah, and if you're the Golden State playing the 76ers and it's an early season game, why not? Don't just it's hard to not to get scared by those numbers sometimes because you're like, fuck, that's a lot of points to, but there's a reason it's set there.
And also,
one of the things you always do, non-sports guy Doug, is you get into the teasers where you tease points and buy points. So would that be something where you look at this line here and maybe do that?
Speaking of which, boys, I've been listening to you tell me all your picks, and I've narrowed that down into my own set of picks. And
we still got a couple more games though, just FYI.
Oh, okay.
There's still about 4 more games.
Maybe I'll wait till the end then. But I've got a preset teaser that I've picked out based on what I've listened to. So.
But for all those listeners who are a little bit new to gambling, you can group a couple different games and use teaser options, which is going to be a little bit of an incentive from the sports book, and they're going to give you a couple points with some reduced juice. So the payout's going to be a little bit less, but they're going to adjust the points on those spreads. Unless you group enough of them. But so you can group. Yeah, if you group enough, then the payout is huge.
If you group 3 or 4 teams in a teaser and you only give them 6 points, it's a pretty good. It's better than even money. It's almost 50 to 100% payout.
So. You're still going to get double the payout, and you can get a lot of these spreads down from 6-7 points down to 1 or 2, down to basically pick'em games. So if you can find 3 or 4 that you really like, you can get those spreads tilted in your favor, and maybe still double, even triple your money. So teasers are always a good option when you get a little sticker shock from the spread numbers. So definitely. Let's keep going through. I want to hear Doug's best bets, but I think we might sway him a little bit more. We got 3-4 more games maybe?
We got a couple games left. couple games left. The Detroit Lions against the Indianapolis Colts. I had Indy by 7. Indy actually is at -3.5. The over/under is very high at 51.5, which makes me want to take the under really, really bad. But it's clear that Vegas must be a big fan of Andrew Luck and thinking that he's going to put up a lot of numbers. I like Indy here. I like Indy at -3.5, and I would take the under here. Your thoughts, G Money?
I think I like Indy with the points at home, but I do have faith in Detroit's offense. They've got an offensive coordinator, Jim Bob Cooter. Yes, his name is Cooter. He's the offensive coordinator. He took over last year, and actually Matt Stafford's numbers really inflated the last 4 or 5 games of the season. He was on the fantasy radar. I am a believer in this Cooter-tastic offense. So I think there's going to be, Jim Bob Cooter's going to run it up. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored, so I would actually take the over on this one because I don't think they have a defense. I don't think Indy has anything that resembles a defense either, so I think there's going to be points galore. I'd take Indy to cover, and give me that over.
Grant is on the train to Cooter Town.
Oh, yeah, Cooter train, baby. Cooterific.
I just love, Grant, that you are endorsing an offense that is going to run through a University of Notre Dame product in Golden Tate out in Detroit. I think that's hilarious.
Son of a bitch. You know what? He's good, too. As much as I hate it, like, Tate's the real deal. He's legit. Most of the Domers aren't, but Tate's, he's good. I think they're going to put up numbers. I think it's going to work.
90 receptions last year, 813 yards. He averaged 9 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns. There's no Calvin Johnson in Detroit anymore, so he is the number one option. I'm still not buying it, man. I'm still not buying it. I'm not a Detroit guy. I don't think I'll ever be a Matthew Stafford guy. I'm not buying it. I don't care who the head coach is.
Oh, it's not even a head coach, dude. It's an offensive coordinator. And I'm not saying I'm not saying Detroit's going to be good. I'm saying they're going to score points. So that's why I like the over. And I want to say Jim Bob Cooter. His name is Jim Bob Cooter. I mean, this is the best name ever.
I like it. We'll go ahead and mark it.
Mark it.
Our next game, the New York Football Giants against the Dallas Tony Romo-less Cowboys. I had the Giants by 3. Sportsbook.ag had their line at -1. I like the Giants to win and cover. I like the under here, which is if it's set at 46. Your thoughts, G Money?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I think the Giants are going to be kind of the sleeper pick. I think they're underrated, and I think we said on some of the preview podcasts, I think Eli's reliable. I think he's solid, and I think they're going to get an injection of energy with this new coach.
Right.
I think
McAdoo.
Yes, McAdoo. I don't know a ton about him, but he seems like kind of a hardworking guy, and any change from Coughlin, I think, is going to get you a little bit of a boost. I don't know what to make of this game. I had the Giants favored by 3 as well. I think Bovada's got this at again at -1 for the Giants. Dallas, Dak Prescott doesn't look like a bad quarterback, and if that line plays, I think they might have a solid all-around team. I think you might be kind of a similar situation to the Vikings, where just because they don't have that marquee signal caller doesn't mean that they're not talented top to bottom. So I think this is going to be a tight game. I think I'm going to lean towards the Giants. I want them to cover. That point spread's basically a pick 'em. And again, you're going to have some growing pains with the rookie, even if you hand the ball off a ton with 2 rookies, even if you hand the ball off all the time. So I think I'll lean towards the more veteran quarterback in this matchup.
Yeah, that's kind of where I go. I think the Giants are going to win the division this year in the NFC East. Dallas, there's too many question marks with Dallas. I mean, Prescott's looked good in the preseason, but again, like we said earlier on in the podcast, it's the preseason. You don't know. Ezekiel Elliott looked really good running against the Seattle defense in preseason. But again, it's the preseason. You just don't know. I mean, last year, Cowboy fans were all fired up about Brandon Weeden, the Weed Man.
The Weed Man.
And Jerry Jones was popping off about how they weren't going to miss a beat, and he was this, that, and the other, and they won, fucking 3 games last year?
They were awful.
So, so I'm buying New York Football Giants stock, but these games are always interesting. The Giants and Cowboys games are always interesting because something always fucking weird seems to happen every year. I feel like they always play week 1, and every year there's either a catch that wasn't a catch but was called a catch but shouldn't have been a catch, or some pass interference that was pass interference but it shouldn't have been pass interference, but it was pass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like this game makes me nervous, so let's stay away from it.
Yeah. I agree. I think I'd pick the Giants just to pick against Dallas, really. But yeah, this game's a toss-up. Who the fuck knows?
Cool, man. We got 3 more, man. We'll wrap this up real quick. The New England Tom Brady-less Patriots. I was watching ESPN earlier. They had Jimmy Garoppolo out there throwing to a bunch of receivers who didn't have a defense in front of them. He looks fantastic. They go into Arizona. I had the Cardinals favored by 3. Sportsbook.ag actually has them at -6 with an over-under at 47.5. What you think, G-Money?
You know, with that many points, I like the Patriots. I don't think they're going to miss much of a beat. I don't think Garoppolo's going to be bad. I don't think they necessarily win this game, but I think it's closer than 6 points. So I got the Patriots to cover. I probably like the over on this one just because of the offense of Arizona, and I think that the Patriots might get into a bit of a shootout with them. So yeah, I like Patriots to cover and the over.
You and I are in agreement there, my friend. We now move to a game that is near and dear to Uncle Ben's heart. The Pittsburgh Steelers go into Washington, D.C., and even though they don't have Le'Veon Bell, they do have Antonio Brown. They're playing the football team out in Washington. I had Pittsburgh favored by a touchdown. Their line, obviously I was being a little bit optimistic. Sportsbook.ag had them at 3.5. I'm taking the Steel Boys to win. I like the points there. The over-under was at 50.5. That's really high. I'm going to go ahead and go under on that.
Yeah, same deal. I had this originally predicted as Pittsburgh being favored by a touchdown, so seeing them as only a field goal. I like Pittsburgh in that. I don't have a lot of faith in Washington. I think Roethlisberger's going to come in and throw the ball all over. I do think Cousins is a competent quarterback, so I think they're going to score some points. So yeah, I like the over as well. I like this to go over with a lot of points scored and Pittsburgh to win by at least a touchdown.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, G.
Hey man, Pittsburgh's rolling this year. I got Pittsburgh's bets on over. I got them winning the division. I have a Super Bowl bet with them open.
You're reverse jinxing them all over the place.
All over the place. Hey Ben, if you're a happy man, I'm gonna be a rich man. So
there you go.
We'll count on that.
There you go. And our last game, the newly minted Los Angeles Rams, fresh off their HBO documentary of Hard Knocks, they go into San Francisco.
Boy, that's a stellar Monday night matchup, huh?
Go ahead. What's up?
That's a stellar Monday night matchup, huh? Not. Fucking weak sauce, NFL.
Yeah. I actually thought San Fran would be favored by 3. Sportsbook.ag actually had Los Angeles at -2.5. I'm staying the fuck away from this game. But if I had to, you gotta go. I mean, you gotta go Los Angeles, don't you? There's way too much turmoil and way too much shit going on in San Francisco, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I originally had the Rams favored by 4.5 by more than a field goal, and to see them at 2.5. Yeah, I think San Francisco is going to be awful. So I'm betting against them most games unless the spread is crazy big, which it'll get pretty big when they play somebody like Green Bay or like Seattle or something.
Right.
But yeah, I take the Rams.
Did you hear the story of the 49er, either running back or tight end, who punched a 70-year-old man? Did you hear that story?
Jesus, no.
So I guess he got just unbelievably hammered drunk. He walks into this hotel, and he's trying to get a room.
Yeah, he walked into the wrong room.
Yeah, so he ends up breaking into someone's room. They tell him to get out of there. He punches the kid and the 70-year-old dad. Ends up getting arrested and cut from the team. What a fucking idiot, man.
Jesus. That's no good, dude. That's no good.
Yep.
Knuckleheads, man.
No.
Yeah, San Francisco's a wreck. San Francisco's a fucking train wreck.
Yep.
Battle of the teams about to get
It's
sucked
really
into the
sad,
action.
isn't it? I mean, you think San Francisco is one of those teams that, I mean, they're football royalty. I mean, you think of the Niners, you think of Joe Montana, you think of Jerry Rice, you think of Dwight Clark, and now
Young.
they're just, I mean, they're the bottom of the barrel in the league.
Yeah, they're pretty appalling. I felt pretty good about making the season under bet on them too. Like I said, I put quite a decent chunk of change on them to finish under 5.5 games.
You allocated some good capital, I see.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. That one I feel pretty good about. I got about 4 unders that I'm shooting for, and maybe about 6 or 7 overs. I picked about 10 or 11 of those over unders that I really liked.
Nice.
So yeah, that should be pretty good. We're gonna try a couple combos of division winners now. If you pick the division all 8 division winners right, A dollar pays about 300, 400, 500. So I'll throw a couple $2.50 bets, just picking division winner combos. I think there's a couple locks we got. I'll definitely throw around some different combos with like the Giants and Dallas. Might throw some dark horse winners in like Minnesota, maybe a Houston or a Tennessee in the South, something crazy like that. But yeah, just gonna put out a couple different combos. Hopefully something hits.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Non-sports guy Doug, you had questions for us, my friend.
Oh, I had no questions. I'm pretty.
What did you like? What if you had one 14 parlay? What's your parlay that sounds good for this week?
I don't know. Well, okay. I guess you could do it as a parlay, but I'm gonna do it personally as a teaser.
Tease, right? Okay.
The picks I like best from you guys. You had the Seattle Seahawks, the Texans, the Packers, and the Chiefs. If you do a 6-point teaser with that, Seattle's -4.5, Texans a half a point, Green Bay just has to win, and Chiefs -1. And $10 pays 26.
Nice. So
that's a great payout.
That's a solid payout, and those numbers are the biggest one you have to cover is 4 points.
Yeah. I might put $1 on that as a parlay, just for funsies. And then you guys were way into the Kansas City pick as just a straight up pick. Mm-hmm. That's also the biggest discrepancy between the 538's ELO point spreads. ELO point spreads. They have the game pegged at -10. So if it's only -7 on Bovada, hell yeah, hit that hard.
I think Kansas City might be our best bet. Yep. And what Ben yours was Houston. You like Houston against Chicago?
Yeah. So here are my three. If I'm looking for a parlay this week, I like Houston. I like Oakland. And I like Indy. Those are the three there. I like those to win, with the points and all that. That would be my ideal parlay. I'm not quite sure what the payout would be, but if I could find one with a good payout, I'm definitely going to book that one, my friend.
Nice. I'm in a similar boat. I'm looking at. I really like Pittsburgh. I like Kansas City. I like your Houston pick, and Pittsburgh. Yeah, I'm probably going to parlay 4 with Pittsburgh, Houston, Green Bay, Kansas City. Probably take 6 points. It'll probably be about a 10 to 1.7 payout, 10 to 17,
nice.
Maybe 10 to 20 payout.
Boom.
So yeah, that looks like that'll just about do it. Shall we mark it, fellas?
Yeah.
I like it, man. I like it. Let's go ahead and mark it.
Let's reconvene the next time we've got some fantasy football trash talking to do.
Well, actually, I think we should just maybe talk a little bit about that now, because me and Uncle Ben, we've kind of broken down some of our teams a little bit, but we want to have each of the participants on to talk. Non-sports guy Doug, how do you feel about your team? What happened?
Not a lot. You know what, Grant? Here's how I feel about the teams after the draft, okay?
Okay.
All this talk, all this hype, you guys throw all these names out, the draft happens, then it fucking doesn't matter because anybody can get injured, anything can fucking happen.
Yeah.
Now we're just let it ride.
Let it ride, baby.
Let it ride, baby.
Yeah, there was a little bit of misclicking, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I saw one guy up in my draft window, and that's not who I got, But then again, I was trying to draft a kicker way too early, and so I'm really.
So was that fantasy karma just smacking you down, saying, "Stop! Don't do that"? What are you doing?
I don't know. Fantasy karma would let me win this year, I think. I'm much happier with my work team. I feel like it's a lot more solid than my friend fantasy team.
I'm taking a look at your friend fantasy now. The GrandSlamDunk.com. Doug, your team name is Whack to the Future.
Yes, masturbation in the future.
Yep, there you go. Whacking it in the future. Always good.
Marty Mick, unzip my fly for a second.
Oh, I like that.
You have Phillip Rivers as your starting quarterback. We've got running backs Rashad Jennings and Frank Gore. Wide receivers A.J. Green and Brandon Cooks. Not bad. Tight end, you did a little shuffling down here. You just picked up Willie Ty for the Giants. You got Doug Baldwin. That might be a little shaky, but that might be tough this year. We got Doug Baldwin as your flex. Some other notables. We got Lamar Miller and Danny Woodhead, backup running backs. Devin Funchess is a sleeper, and Sam Shepard. Some receivers you're taking some flyers on. Kicker, and the kicker you ended up with is Dan Bailey. It's not bad. He's a solid fantasy producer.
Sure.
Who did you want? Who were you going for?
I was going for Graham Gano.
Okay, the Panthers kicker.
I was violating a little bit of my rule where I don't trust in how they performed for you the year before for how they'll perform again. But I was really happy with his performance last year. I felt like I owed it to the guy.
And it's funny how you develop these weird little loyalties to players.
Yeah.
It definitely happens, yeah. Totally.
Wait, who were you saying was the shaky? My tight end?
The tight end, well, I think you
Tight
just
end was
picked
like
somebody
my
up.
340th pick. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, you waited pretty late to go for the tight ends.
Well, that's because after the 3 big names, I didn't know anything.
Well, sometimes you got to do a little deeper research, man. Sometimes you got to do. Looks like you had Jacob Tammy on there. He was a Bronco for a while. He's probably not going to get too much, but the New York tight end, there's potential there. That's not bad. You'd probably get some production out of that.
Yeah, I don't know. At this point, you guys tell me. Is this even a good team? I don't know. I don't know how strong it is.
I think you're okay.
Well, here's what I'll tell you, non-sports guy Doug. I got Graham Gano after you misclicked. I got him about 4 rounds.
I realized I should have shut my fucking mouth, and I probably still would have had him on my team anyway.
He would have been there.
Yeah.
So I'm letting you know, bud. If you want to trade for him, you let me know. You and I can have some trade talk.
Not surprised that was your thinking, but I'm gonna stick to my mostly no trades policy unless they favor me.
You see, Dougie, I knew you liked Cam Newton too. I went up early and grabbed him. Did I throw you off with that pick?
I think that was a misconception of yours, buddy. I never had any inclinations in either of my leagues of picking Cam Newton.
Really? When we were mock drafting, you weren't drafting Cam Newton every single one? I'm misremembering that?
The first night we did it, I ended up with him a lot, but that wasn't where that was a learning experience. That was planning.
Okay.
That was planning.
Okay. We'll see. We're going to have to see how it plays out, right?
Yeah, let's see.
I think if I'm giving you my honest opinion, I think Phillip Rivers is going to be solid, but not great. I think you've got some risks at running back. I think Frank Gore's pretty old, and Rashad Jennings is a bit of a roll of the dice. I like your receivers a lot. I like A.J. Green, Brandon Cooks, Doug Baldwin should be solid. And you've got some potential deep sleepers. I think Devin Funchess is going to be a solid producer.
Too bad he's not a running back sleeper, because that's where my weak spots are.
That's true. I mean, Danny Woodhead is not bad. I think Lamar Miller has a lot of potential, especially splitting time. Lamar Miller. I don't know.
The problem with Miller, and it came out this week, he's gotten demoted to second string. He's not even a starter in Miami anymore. Now it's Arian Foster.
I'm not. Well, Arian Foster is. Lamar Miller's in Houston now.
Oh, that's right. They flipped.
Yeah,
Never mind,
they flipped.
my
But he's still
Who am
sharing
I
with
thinking
somebody.
of then?
He's still sharing with somebody in Houston.
Right.
But I mean, that's kind of a toss-up. I don't put a whole lot of stock in "quote-unquote" second string this early on in the season, just with all the injuries to running backs. It's too variable.
Sure.
They can jump back in pretty easy. So I wouldn't be scared with a second roster spot designation. But I think your running backs are going to be tough. I think your receivers are going to carry you, and I think you definitely need some production out of that tight end.
And I'll say Big Mikey thought the Chiefs were going to be a solid defense this year.
I think so too. Yeah, I think they will be solid. I think everybody in the AFC West is going to have good defense. To be honest, maybe not San Diego.
I agree with that.
But you know what? A lot of times, as I learned last year, no matter how fucking strong your team is, it depends on your matchup for the week. If your strong team is weakly matched for 1 week, it just doesn't matter. So my mediocre team can be up to you on a week that you got buys and you got some shit going on, and you can suck it. I get really competitive for something I don't give two fucks
about. Even care about. That's why we love it, Doug. That's why we love the passion. It's crazy. It's good
stuff, man. It's good stuff.
Well, all right, boys. I think that'll just about wrap up this first episode of Market NFL. Any closing thoughts we want to wrap up with?
No, baby, I'm good. Hey, if you're real quick, let me plug real quick. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at the Grand Slam Dunk Know You. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Market Zero Podcast or facebook.com/the Grand Slam Dunk. Be sure to also check us out on YouTube. Just search grandslamdunk.com, or you can just hit our website and click the awkward-looking link that we have there. We also want to thank the brilliant Ross Palmer for allowing us to use Ukraine as our opening music. It's been pretty awesome. G-Money, non-sports guy Doug, always a pleasure talking to you guys.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Indeed. Let's go ahead and mark it.
Mark it.
Market.